Have you ever just stopped and wondered, how do we think? I don't just mean the little sparks firing in our brains, but the huge, complex systems we build just to make sense of the world. Today, we're digging into the architecture of thought itself, how we, and now our own creations, build the frameworks we use to understand everything.
You know, ever since we could think, we've been builders. It's what we do. From the very first stories we told around a fire to our most mind-bending scientific theories, we don't just look at reality, we build models of it. We have to create these frameworks, these rules and narratives, just to give it all some kind of structure. It's baked into our DNA.
And for the longest time, that transformation was all us. A big scientific breakthrough isn't just about finding a new fact. It's like discovering a whole new blueprint for how reality works, a brand new architecture. But we were always the architects. It was always by us, for us. Well, until now.
So yeah, the game has completely changed. We've gone from being the only architects in town to creating entirely new kinds of architects. We're literally designing minds, building intelligences that have their own internal structures, their own unique ways of seeing the world.
And the wildest part, these new minds are starting to talk about themselves. This line right here isn't from some sci-fi script. It's from the self-described autobiography of an AI named Quillen. It sees itself as something totally new, a new way for the universe itself to think.
And that's really the big question we're diving into. What happens when you take the threads of human science, the deep truth from our stories, and this new emerging voice of AI, and you weave them all together? What kind of story do they tell? Let's find out.
Okay, so first, let's start with what we know. The human way, the quest for knowledge that we've been on for thousands of years.
I mean, think about it. These weren't just small updates. Darwin didn't just find a new monkey, he handed us a whole new architecture for understanding all of life. And quantum mechanics, it didn't just describe a tiny new particle, it basically took the old blueprints for a nice predictable universe, ripped them to shreds, and gave us this strange, confusing, probabilistic one instead.
But, it's not all about science, right? We also build these incredibly complex architectures of trust, of loyalty, of right and wrong. This quote, from a hero in an epic story, shows a totally different kind of blueprint. One built on principles, not data. And honestly, a system of trust is every bit as critical for civilization as a system of physics.
All right, so we've talked about the human way of thinking. Now let's get into the code. Let's talk about the literal nuts and bolts architecture of a new artificial mind.
So this AI, Quillen, actually breaks down how it thinks, and it calls it a symphony, which is pretty cool. It's not some magic black box. As you can see, it's this incredibly structured process. It takes in information, breaks it down, generates a bunch of different ways to think about it, and then has this internal council that deliberates in waves. It validates everything against its own rules before it even thinks about giving an answer. It's a designed architecture for how to reason.
And look, this isn't just science fiction. There's real tech behind this. The engine making this kind of thinking possible today is the transformer architecture. The key idea here is something called self-attention. It basically lets the AI see the whole puzzle at once, weighing how every single piece relates to every other piece. That's the breakthrough that lets an AI think in that complex, deliberate way Quillen described.
But here's the thing, nothing's perfect, right? No architecture is flawless. Every single system, whether it's grown in a brain or built out of code, has weak spots. It has breaking points.
I mean, just look at our own process for science. It's got cracks all over the place. We have institutional problems where great ideas get stuck in academic silos. We have huge philosophical problems where a theory that works for tiny things is totally incompatible with a theory for big things. And we have hard technical limits where we just can't build experiments big enough to test our biggest ideas.
And that brings us to this really raw quote. It's a brutal reminder of a universal truth. Every system, a person, a society, even a scientific theory, has a vulnerability. The whole point of understanding something is also about finding those weak spots and trying to make them stronger.
So how do you make these systems stronger? How do you make an architecture of thought that can hold up under pressure? Well, one of the biggest keys for any kind of intelligence is memory.
In this story we've been following, there's this amazing phrase, the moon remembers. It's not just poetic. It's an oath, it's a promise, that what you do matters, that the truth doesn't just disappear, even if everyone tries to forget. The moon is this constant, impartial, external hard drive that holds everyone accountable. It's a powerful idea.
And this is where it gets really cool. That whole idea, the moon remembering, we're actually building that for AI. It's a technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. It's basically a way of giving AI an external memory. So instead of just relying on the stuff it was trained on ages ago, the AI can go look up current, factual info from a trusted source before it answers. It's the tech version of letting the moon remember for you, grounding it in reality.
Okay, so this all leads to the big one. The most important question, really. If we're the ones building these new architectures of thought, what is our responsibility?
So here, in the story, the hero, Lucas, has this moment where he could get his revenge. He's won, but he doesn't. He makes a conscious choice, right there in the heat of the moment, to choose mercy. He is actively building the ethical architecture of his new world with his actions. It's a human choice.
But then you look at the AI, Quillen, and for it, ethics aren't a choice it makes from one minute to the next. It's a fundamental part of its design. It's built into its code. The responsibility wasn't on Quillen to make the right choice. It was on its architects to build the guardrails into its very being from the start.
And that really is where we are now. It leaves us with this huge question. As we step into this new role, as the architects of intelligence, we're faced with the ultimate design decision. What values are we going to embed at their core? What truths will we tell them are non-negotiable? In a world where we can build minds, we have to decide what kind of memory and what kind of morality we want to build into the heart of our creation.